7 p.m. So I'll call meeting to order. We have a mixed audience. We have folks in person and folks online, so all votes will be roll call. I know everyone enjoys that. So let's call the roll for attendance.
Andrew,
Here.
Chris, Mary, Pat,
Here.
Anita.
She's connecting. She's connecting audio.
Allison, Charles, Phil,
Here.
Karen, Dan,
Here.
Jerry,
Here.
Chuck, Joan,
Here.
Stephen,
Here.
Jane,
Here.
Jim, Ron, Steve O'Neill, Katerina, Darren,
Here.
James, Silva. Thank you.
Anita is here.
Yes, I got it. Yes, thank you.
She's no longer.
She's dialed in from the balcony, apparently. All right, first order of business, with our, I don't know, previous Anita, choosing to do the best life not. On the select board, we need to have a vote for the election of the vice chair as per our bylaws. I think Steve has volunteered for that position, but I'll take any other nominations if there are any. Hearing none, can I have a nomination for Steve? So moved.
Second.
So, vote, please.
Andrew,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So the motion was made by Darren, seconded by Jane. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Andrew,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Anita,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Joan,
Yes.
Stephen. Oh, Stephen is the one.
You can vote.
He can still vote for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aye.
Darren.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Steve, thanks so much for stepping up to help out with council. We know your investment and we appreciate it. So. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you, council members. I'll do my best as vice chair the next several months. Thank you.
I won't mention that this was under duress, but nonetheless. Next, we have the approval of the meeting minutes. Any comments on the meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Steve, seconded by Jane.
Andrew,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Anita,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Jerry,
Abstain, I was not here.
Joan,
Abstain.
Steve,
Yes.
Jane,
Aye.
Darren.
Aye. Next, onto the financial report and reward.
Well, that would be me. Hello, everyone. Good to see everybody again.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm
Hello.
Sarah Westway for,
That's
I didn't meet you last time, and Jerry, we met over Zoom.
We did.
But in person. Very nice to see everybody.
Welcome.
All right, thank you. Okay, so the warrant here, we have, we had a couple of check runs that we had to do prior to the meeting here. That's a total of 60,217. We have some anticipated expenses for the next month, and then we have 2 payrolls coming up, along with a final payout for an employee. And on our financial report here, these are balances as of 4/30, as that's the last closing statement I have for each one of the accounts. You may or may not notice that the line item, the balance that we have on Salem 5 is the same this month as it was last month, as I have not received the statement yet to post the interest. But that will hopefully be updated by the next council meeting. And we invoiced quite a few things this month for the MassDOT projects. They told me that they are net 45 on their turnaround, so for the invoice that we sent them last month, which was for February financials, we are supposed to be getting that actually this week, and then so this one here that we invoiced them this month, which was for March expenses, they told me to expect that payment around June 10th. We got a couple invoices out to Drake it for the open space. We received a grant in the amount of $15,000 for the Greater Lowell, it's escaping me what CF is.
Community
Foundation.
Community Foundation.
So many acronyms, I'm still learning. For the at-home and Greater Lowell Regional Housing Strategy Plan for 24-25. We already received that. We sent out an invoice and already received funds for the EDA, Economic Recovery and Resiliency Plan, the CARES Act, another Drake and Open Space. I also just invoiced the pictometry for the 2023 through 2026. And we also just invoiced for the Mass Trails. So we are expecting to receive about almost $150,000 in funds over the next few weeks. And that about sums it up here. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I just had a question for Jenny on the pictometry. Jenny, in the pictometry, I noticed there's 4 communities here for 2023. Does this happen like every so many years that the other towns in the council area have pictometry, reconnaissance done, via for GIS and so forth? Is this like, every 5 years, every 10 years? How's that work?
Every few years, we update the contracts with our communities. So sorry, I've lost my voice today, so it's going to be spotty.
Sorry.
I am not in the room with you. There is actually a little report on it in my executive director's report if you have questions. And I'm glad to also connect you with Carlin, who coordinates the pictometry that we do with all of our communities if it's needed. It's really, that's kind of the key, is what is needed and whether or not there's a need to be part of our group purchasing contract. That's what we did this particular year. So I don't remember the particular situation with Pepperell, but I'd be glad to follow up.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions, additional questions? No, hearing none. Have a motion to
approve?
second, motion made by Jerry, seconded by Darren.
Andrew,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
Bill,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Jerry,
Aye.
Joan,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
Darren.
Aye. Next order of business is the report of the executive director. His voice holds out for the whole thing.
Well, I'm actually, because my voice is too cracky tonight, I was going to ask if there's any questions, but I did have 3 quick things that aren't in my report that I wanted to mention. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'll just see if you have any questions for me. So the first thing is that actually everybody has to be annually reappointed to the council. I've contacted either your town manager or your town administrator to initiate that process so that I can have a reappointment letter in our files annually. I actually don't have one for many of you right now. It's in our bylaws. And so I initiated that. So if you're getting like a message from your town manager or administrator that you have to go, that the select board is going to make that vote, it's because after every annual election, we need to actually have people reappointed. The same thing for the planning board and the same thing for the alternate. So at the alternate, depending upon the structure of your government, it's either the town manager who can designate you, or it has to be the select board. But that actually has to happen annually. And I need to have the reappointment letter, which is the really important follow-up part. I don't have those in file except for one person. Congratulations to Pat on being the only person.
She sent it in
Jenny,
herself.
Jenny, I got reappointed last night, so you'll get another letter.
No, I have been trying to kind of keep tabs on all the different elections. Some of them haven't happened. So again, but you can be proactive about it as well. So please follow up on that if you're interested in serving again, and many of you I'm sure might be. So you just need to make sure that you get reappointed and that I receive that letter signed by the town or city. So that's one thing. The second thing is Kelly Linema is the new deputy director, and she will be starting on May 30th. And I couldn't be happier to have a deputy joining the team to help with the variety of the scope of work that we're doing at the agency, and to have her enthusiasm and her talent on the team. So hopefully she'll be at our next meeting and you'll be able to meet her. Maybe you'll meet her sooner, depending upon what other meetings you attend and which one she attends in your community. But I wanted to mention that. And then it is with sadness that I wanted to say that Justin has announced that he's leaving, and that is happening in a couple of weeks as well. And we will be planning to do something for him to celebrate him and his 21 years at NMCOG. And we are, I'm not immediately reposting his position, but instead starting a conversation with the NPO next week at their meeting on Wednesday to talk about the position and the scope of work that we do for the region, and just make sure, have a sort of a check-in, make sure that we're moving in the right direction. If there's anything we need to be doing differently within our transportation planning program, I'd like to know that now before we repost that position. And then soon thereafter, I will be posting it, of course. So those are the few things that I wanted to mention. And of course, as regards my report, glad to answer any questions. Thank you, Andrew.
No really long and complicated question.
I have a question,
Please, Jay.
but it's not on your report, so you can defer this to another time. I noticed that your insurance company is Maya. Do they do you for property and casualty or just health?
Sarah, can you actually explain, please? Just for my voice.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Maya is does our health insurance for us, our health and dental, and our property casualties through Cabot Risk Strategies.
It's the same company. They're in the same building.
Okay.
It's the same thing. Have they made a requirement of you for cybersecurity from MFA and EDR compliance by July 1?
I haven't heard anything from them. It's certainly something I can follow up with them on.
I would ask, because they're requiring that of all their municipalities.
Okay.
And you're a smaller agency, but
So Sharon Elaine is actually coming out next week on the 23rd to meet with Jenny and I. That
Yeah.
is certainly something that I can ask her. So it's cybersecurity.
yeah, I don't know if they have in your line of coverage, a cyber coverage
Okay.
for a breach,
Okay.
considering what's going on in the world today. They
Okay.
are requiring it of municipalities, and I am implementing it in another town, so that's why I'm asking.
Okay.
But it's a bigger deal where we are, because there's a lot more people and it costs a lot more money to implement it. And you might be able to turn on a switch on Microsoft 365 and make that happen if
Okay.
you haven't already.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's why I'm asking, but they're requiring MFA and EDR compliance, endpoint detection response, and multi-factor authentication, and that would be particularly important for anybody with access to confidential data and financial systems.
Okay, all right. I will ask that question to Sharon.
Thank you
when
very
we
much.
meet with her, and I will report back.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And sorry, that was my only question.
So I have a
Please,
question, about the municipal digital equity planning program. I see that, there was $121,000 award granted. Do you have any idea when that's gonna begin or what the timeline is for that?
I will defer to Chris, who I can see is in the room, and would appreciate him chiming in. Please, Chris, you're there, right?
Yes.
Thank
So the 121,000 is right now an estimate. We're working with MAPC on. MAPC was awarded the role of working with the coalition led by the city board for this. We are a sub-consultant to MAPC. We're right now working on contracting to figure out the exact scope of work and therefore the number of dollars that would come from MAPC to NMCOG. But they also have to go through a process where they submit a budget to NBI, the funding agency,
Who's they?
MAPC.
Okay,
MAPC would need to submit a budget to the funding agency, NBI. And NBI might say, oh, 300,000 is too much for this. We'll give you 275. How about that? And it's a negotiation, basically. After that is done, then and contracted, then MAPC and NMCOG as a subconsultant to MAPC can begin providing the service to the coalition led by the city of Lowell. Does that answer the question? I know there's not an exact timeline because it depends on how long it takes to get to yes between NBI, but it should be a matter of weeks.
oh, okay, I was thinking about maybe summertime, but that's even more. So now, from when the application that I saw, isn't there a deadline for when it has to be completed or not?
There was a deadline requested by the city of Lowell, but that's negotiable. That's not something that is inherent to the grant program or the funding.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Any other questions?
I actually have a question on, based on that one, and this can be for future conversation, but we're getting ready to, we're starting our renegotiation with Comcast, for instance. Our annual pay or whatever contract's not annual, 5 years of pay contract. And I'm wondering if digital equity is going to be part of that negotiation. How long do you think this work will take? I have 2 years left on my contract.
The scope for 9 months to a year. It's because it's a public process, it's getting public input.
Yeah. That works.
So the goal, the city of Lowell kind of wanted to move it toward the earlier end of that, just because they want to align it with their like giant master planning process.
Yeah.
But certainly there's a lot of moving parts, so it'll take a while.
Yeah, no, but that sounds great. That's more than reasonable year. Yeah, I think, okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
Jane, is your public access through an access corp or is it part of the town?
No, it's a department of the town. We have a telemedia department. We were originally going to do a separate one and decided to bring it in-house. It's worked very well.
I know Kingsborough has it in-house also.
Yeah, so it's worked out well. We missed the boat the first time around when everybody else got on board. So we limped along and now we're on board. So
I want to say that DATV is celebrating, I think, 15 years now.
yeah, no, we totally missed that whole window, completely dropped the ball. So we ended up doing something in-house like 5 years ago. Thank you.
Any other additional questions? I'll just close this part with a big, first of many thank you, Justin, for your service for and personally, all the work you've done for my community, me personally, I really appreciate your service to us, and you sorely missed, so.
Here, here.
We'll start to thank you later in the walk.
Appreciate it.
Here, here.
All right, moving on to community exchange. Anything anyone wants to bring up?
Just in the following Jane's question there about our insurance. Obviously, everybody's heard what's happened in the city of Lowell.
Yeah.
But you know, to give you some idea of the impact, we'd have to skip 2 planning board meetings as a result of this, because the inability to post for public meetings and getting packets out, and so it's had quite an impact. And I don't know, Dan, unless you have more information, but there hasn't been a lot of information released to employees. And we were mentioning earlier, serving on the planning board, I'm technically an employee, so I get my direct deposit of $75 a month. And that cost me getting my checking account number out there and in the pension plan and information. So who knows what the final result's going to be, but a serious implication for municipality when you think about people even paying their paying their taxes online. We don't know, there's been no information whether that's been part of the breach. Nobody's used the word ransomware. There's, obviously as soon as people hear that, but technically nobody's used the word. So, but I don't know, Dan, if you have an update, but obviously it's pretty serious. It has far-reaching implications for the city.
Yeah, so as far as people going online and paying things, Lowell uses a third party. So we don't keep any of that information. So if someone wants to go and pay taxes, that's safe.
That's good.
Right, and that's been well known since the start of this. Also, also with the FBI is doing an ongoing investigation, so, so I can be out there every day broadcasting what's been found and whatnot. So, the professionals are taking over, people that, much smarter than I am, and we're gonna let them do their job. And, it's gonna take some time, they're talking probably 60 to 35 days to try to get back up online altogether. So very unfortunate. Many other cities and towns have been affected by this, not just nationwide, but across the world. And as of right now, no ransom has been demanded. So it's still, unfortunately, in a situation.
Well, Drake just had their election. 589 voters out of over 20,000 came out for a whopping
Big turnout.
2%. There are no contested races, so I mean, you can see some of the apathy in it. And our June town meeting is coming up. My prediction is that we may in fact have more members, registered voters at town meeting than we did have during the election.
Your town meeting's that popular?
Well, there's a number of items there. Zoning bylaw changes are coming up, so there's 17 articles for that. There are 18 financial articles, but the last article of the 45, I think, maybe second to last, is for a feasibility study for a new school in Drake. The Campbell School. So I anticipate that a lot of people will be coming out just for that.
Yeah, that's true.
On your apathy, it's not a Drake problem, it's every community problem.
We were 4% this year, one contested race.
We beat you in Pepperell. We got 6%. It was a miracle.
Way to go.
It was a miracle.
So they had shortened the hours in Drake, knowing that it was an uncontested race. The vote, they had early voting, and then early voting garnered, I think, 230 votes over the course of the week. And then the remainder came out on a Saturday between the hours of 9 and 4.
Oh,
Like that.
The blanks beat my colleagues on the select board. How can I brought that up at all?
In Tewksbury, we're getting ready to approve cannabis dealerships. Cannabis. I feel like it's time,
Pretty soon it will be.
right? Right, exactly. I got a deal for you. Yeah, so we can have up to 3 in Tewksbury, and I'm curious, which other communities here have retail cannabis?
Pepperell does. We have 2.
You have
Yeah.
2,
We
you
have
have
four.
3, you have
Yeah.
4.
We have
We
one.
have 4.
It's based on
Your liquor licenses.
your liquor licenses
Yeah.
for sale.
Yes, it does.
I can't believe Drake has more liquor licenses.
Well,
than Tewksbury.
we-
We went and got a special act and got more.
We got pizza shops, we got donut
It's the
shops,
tourist thing.
and we got liquor stores.
We got nail salons
Yeah.
that sell liquor.
We're living a high life in Pepperell.
Very small retail
That's
district.
true.
Oh, yeah.
So there's only, you can only fit so many, and there's only so many
In your area.
properties that can fit in there, so I believe we have a cultivation one coming, that's about it.
Yeah, so we have certain areas that are designated, but we have had, I think, 9 that have made it into the tranche. We've now limited these shut off applications by a certain date, and then like, now we'll evaluate these ones. But I was curious for the communities that do, how did you assess the proposals that you received? Did you listen to all of them and then take a vote? Did you do a rubric? Did you run it like an RFP? I was curious. How
They, as far as I know, the selectmen took them essentially on a first come, first served basis, so.
Yeah, that's what they did in Pepperell.
We only had one survive.
Oh,
Okay.
People dropped out, so
Oh,
yeah, it's the best quality person is still.
still there.
Yeah, so Drake has 4 dispensaries, 2 growth and 1 testing.
oh,
It's like a little corner of, cannabis mecca up there in Drake. Farmland. Who needs pumpkins when you've got-
There's agriculture for you, so.
That's right.
Yeah,
There you go.
I was just curious, because we haven't ascertained. We've said maybe it'll be first come, first served, but we've all at the board has said we want to hear all the applicants first and then make a decision, so. But yeah, we're kind of building the plane as we're flying,
Yeah.
so we're trying to do a fair process, transparent process, but also put the best mix in for the community that,
I think Drake had never had more than 2 at one time. So they had the benefit of being able to say, okay, as they come in, we'll take them, and then the last person in is the last person in.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, we had to cut people off and we have 9 that we're gonna
That's-
evaluate in June.
It's a
so.
big benefit for the community.
It is, we're gonna take some of your business away and don't feel bad about it at all, I'll tell you right now.
Oh, as more become available, it'll just spread out.
I think so.
We have 5 of them in Lowell, so you're not taking it from his place, but.
Who wants to
Yeah.
open one of yours? Yeah, somebody wants to open right across the street, that's Full Harvest Moons.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, there's a bunch, so anyway, it's interesting, fascinating. If anybody has any thoughts, I would be welcome. I'd love to hear.
I
Mine.
think within a mile
you.
radius, there are 3.
You do.
Yeah.
Jenny,
I'll bring samples to the next meeting.
as you raise your hand.
Yeah, we're a sister city with Drake, and we have one of the same owners in Pepperell that Drake has, but a cannabis. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, treehouse, I believe it is, isn't it?
yes, yeah,
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
they're
will tell
thinking
you,
of they're thinking of
ahead.
opening one in Groton as well. I think they're right now in the planning stages.
I can tell you the traffic is dropped way down, when they first.
Oh,
We first opened them in Lowell, people were in line and there were traffic jams and the planning board was trying to figure out how we're
oh,
gonna.
wow.
And it's really now a non-factor, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was never
Yeah.
realized in Drake, they
Yeah.
never saw any traffic.
There's never any traffic when I go. I'm just
Jenny, you have your hand very kindly raised.
I was just gonna say that I'm glad to share any resources with you, Jane, about some best practices and how to do selection and the
Yes.
criteria and sort of rubric that you can use. Glad to
Yes,
share it with all of you, of course. Want to
yes.
see it. Obviously, I haven't done that at NMCOG, but I did that in Arlington for 3 dispensaries.
Oh, I would, yeah, if you could forward along whatever you have,
Yeah.
that would be super awesome.
And I
appreciate it.
developed it with town council, so it's
Perfect.
a good starting point.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I would appreciate that. That would be really helpful. Thank you.
Anything else, canvas related or otherwise, to share?
I have something I thought you'd like to hear. In Pepperell, with the planning board and the planning department rather, and EDAC, the Economic Development Committee, we had our first ever business owners workshop where, because we have 2 grants that are going to substantially change the look in Pepperell on what we call Railroad Square, which is the center of our town. We invited our business owners who live in that particular section of the town to come to ask questions, to find out more information. We had about 30 people show up, and it was really a nice mix of businesses. We had hairdressers, restaurants, barbers, gas stations, various different businesses that showed up, and they expressed their concerns about changes to the environment on our main street and traffic, the number of people that would be using the businesses, et cetera. But when they all left, it was a real eye opener for them as to what was going on with these grants. And it was an eye opener for all of us as well to find out what their concerns were. So it was a nice touch. We're thinking we might do that again later on as we move down Main Street. So.
Love that.
Yeah.
Could you, Joan, send like the agenda that you used or something along to the
Sure.
group?
Absolutely,
I'd
I
like to
can.
see that.
Yeah, we sent out a flyer through email to all of the businesses. Because I'm the assistant town clerk as well, I have a list of all the businesses that are in Pepperell. And so I gave all the emails that I did have, and we used that email list to send out the flyers inviting everyone. We did it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 4. on a Tuesday. I was really pleasantly surprised that we got as many people as we did, because I didn't know if that would affect their business. But they did show up, and, we had like fruit and cookies and water, just a few things. But it was held outside as well.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was really nice under little umbrellas. One of the businesses called the Barn Door, they offered to host it.
I saw this on LinkedIn or something the other day, somebody
The
or
Barn
Facebook.
Door.
I saw this event posted.
It was Jenny Chingris.
Yeah.
Posted
Oh,
about it.
yeah.
That's
Sure.
right, that's where I saw it.
Yeah,
on
that's what
LinkedIn.
you'd say.
Yeah,
Yeah, she posted it.
That's what I
That's
saw.
good.
Okay.
Yeah. We were
Peppers
really
on the map.
pleased at that. Yeah, because what we're trying to do too is we have a whole new thing called a wayfinding committee.
Yep.
And what we're attempting to do is post a lot of signs around our town so people can find their way, which right now they
Yeah.
do not. So we've created maps. Groton has it at their Old Prescott School. And we're kind of taking off on what they've done. And so we have 3 kiosks now in town, and we're offering businesses to purchase a little advertisement with QR codes. So what will happen is the sign will be in a specific location near some of the businesses, although they don't have to be brick and mortar, they can be online. And they will pay us $150 for an advertisement that's 4x4. It'll be on the map. And there'll be a QR code that leads to their website. It'll also lead to the town website, so they can get all of the businesses that are in Pepperell. And it'll also have a brochure that they can pick up. So they're going to get the QR code, the map, and a brochure. And so that seemed to be a big hit with the people who did show up, that they would get a little bit more notoriety at the kiosks. So we're hoping that that will work for them. I will send you the flyer though. Absolutely. Jenny, if I send it to you, can you distribute it?
I actually have the flyer. I'll send
good.
it when I send around the other document.
Perfect. There's another one too that we also handed out that has a gigantic QR code on it, so they can actually go to the website at the town. And I think it's called, I think it's visitpepperell.com. And you can go on and you'll see all of the businesses that will be purchasing a spot.
Yeah, I've also tied in with what Joe said, with the Adopt an Island program.
Oh, yes.
We just,
Yeah, go
we
ahead,
had
Steve.
that, we had that endorsed by the select board recently, so we started the program. And we got 5 businesses signed up already on it, so we're in the move to beautify Pepperell. We're looking forward to that. And tied to economic development, and also work with the planning board on that project too, so. Yeah, Pepperell's trying to move forward and trying to attract more businesses in town. We figured beautification is one way to do it. Just one thing on Pepperell's town meeting last week on May 8th. It was voted to put the public safety complex, I talked about that, I think last meeting, onto a special town meeting ballot. So it's a $37 million project. It's for, fire, police and communication center. It's on June 12th. So I just thought I'd just report that. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Moving on to reminders and announcements. We have a Lowell Housing Forum on May 31st at 6:30 at the Lowell Senior Center. And our following meeting on June 21st at 7 p.m. Anything else, Jenny, we need to touch on before we close?
Nothing else.
And with that, I'll have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Jerry, seconded by Jane. I'm gonna take it as unanimous. Thanks, everyone. Go Celtics.
That's right. Yeah, we still got an hour before.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you.
I
Thank
had
you.
mentioned
Bye.
June 2nd, Tewksbury is having our first Pride